Wonderful. The time is here. Thank you, everyone, for joining. It is a big room, and we are very excited to be talking to you today about a number of things. We'll dig into that, but first of all, to start off with a quick introduction, my name is Brittany Callahan, and I am the Director of Client Strategy at Attentive. For those of you who aren't familiar with Attentive, Attentive is the AI marketing platform really focused on leading major brands to optimize message performance across one-to-one SMS and email interactions. So we leverage AI-powered, mobile-first tools as well as two-way conversations, and really just a ton of data to inform really smart, personalized interactions, and therefore make sure that brands across the globe are driving millions in revenue and really resonating and connecting with their consumers. Attentive is trusted by over 8,000 brands. A couple of names you might recognize: CB2, Urban Outfitters, and of course, L'Occitane. Pronunciation, if anyone doesn't know it, learn it now. There's a YouTube video about that commonly mispronounced name. But L'Occitane, which is what we're going to be talking about today. So that is a great segue, I think, into the reason we're sitting in front of you today. We will be talking about a couple of specific topics, from AI to one of the most popular and debated topics, which is how to really maximize two super popular and effective channels, SMS and email, orchestration and streamlining processes related to that. So on the stage today, I am joined with Emily McDonald of L'Occitane. And before we dig in, would love to hear you give a quick intro.
Hi, everybody. My name is Emily. I'm from L'Occitane, not L'Occitane, but we'll take it. I'm the senior manager at L'Occitane. I oversee basically all the retention efforts, that includes SMS, email, journeys, overseeing all channels, that's retail, outlet, and our website. So as you know, L'Occitane today is a natural beauty brand. We're from Provence, France, hence L'Occitane. We currently have 125 stores in US, another 47 stores in Canada. I also oversee promotional strategies and pricing initiatives for both markets.
Small role, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
Sometimes I'm bored.
Yeah. Sounds good. So you definitely have a lot of areas of focus, a ton of responsibility in a pretty tumultuous market. So I think that definitely positions you well to speak to a number of things today. As I mentioned, L'Occitane made the strategic decision to consolidate triggered email and SMS with Attentive. We will also be discussing some of the specific features of the Attentive platform and technology to really enable that precise customer targeting. And it wouldn't be a proper session if we didn't touch on AI, so we will certainly talk about AI as it relates to Attentive AI, but also more broadly how L'Occitane and you specifically are viewing that within the market. So without further ado, digging into the program specifically, let's start with SMS. So you've been with Attentive for a while now. What made L'Occitane seek out SMS marketing in a program, and why was Attentive really a good fit for you?
Yeah, so like most retailers, our e-commerce business skyrocketed during COVID. Before COVID, I would say it's 2080, that doesn't add up to 100, 2080, 20% e-commerce, 80% retail. And during COVID, it just hopped up to 30, 35, to 70, 65. And so it becomes a challenge, how do we engage with customers, with new customers, because we don't know who they are. And we kind of used to rely on the interaction from store associates. And that part is missing because all our stores were closed until late 2022. So that said, we're trying to find a new channel to connect with customers instantly and directly. And there's both. Like I said, one is new. Who are they? We don't know. They're brand new to us. E-commerce wasn't the main focus for our brand. Another piece is for existing customers. She used to shop in stores. She likes the a little chatty chat with the sales associate. She liked the free sample. She liked to feel it on her hand. All these parts are missing. The personal tone of voice is definitely missing in that journey with the brand. So we opt for SMS. And like most retailers, it was rough in terms of bandwidth. So we're trying to find the partners that can really help us to get things done up really quickly. It's almost like you have an extra partner on your team, and we found Attentive. The swift setup, the implementation time was like a day, I would say. And I think the best part is that integrate with our platform, which we are a global brand, so we do use multiple different systems. I like to show that we have 78,000 IDs for every single customer of ours. However, how do we create that integrated journey with the visibility to result? That's part, I think, Attentive technology definitely helped.
Awesome. That is great. I think you touched on a couple of specific things. One is, I think a lot of brands are having to pivot in this new world, we'll say, right? But coming out of pandemic, performance was what it was, different for every brand. But I think generally, brands are trying to figure out what is the new normal and how do you stay really relevant to your consumer base and make sure that you're nurturing that loyalty, but you're also staying front of mind, commanding share of voice in the market and things like that. So with that in mind, when reflecting on your program's overall goals and performance, what are your primary areas of focus?
So growth will continue to be my priority. When it's a growth, it's not just growing the subscriber list. It's also how do we nurture that experience? How do we make sure each relationship that we create is personal? And I think the challenge here, which is also the goal, is how do we create an authentic communication to your customers that doesn't feel like your KPI is not dollars. Your KPI is, we have this KPI called Love Score. Customer won't know that, so it's because we don't have a loyalty program. But Love Score is really how we value customers. It's based on communication, engagement, that is not transactional based. And I think that's something we started to do this year, really moving away from transactional KPIs. So like, who cares about ATV? We do care about ATVs. However, for customer journey, that ATV doesn't matter anymore. It's about talking to them at the right time with the right message. The relationship needs to be long lasting. At the end, that's how you'll benefit from the business.
Yes. So SMS, it seems like you have a really good pulse on. You've spent time with it, and it is always evolving, right?
Yes.
But you've done a great job with that. Shifting gears a little bit and certainly staying true to that cohesive customer experience. Expectations are greater than ever. Consumers and we as consumers want to feel like the brands we love know us, right, and get us, regardless of channel. But if we shift gears to think about, how email plays into this, specifically triggered email, L'Occitane is now a client of Attentive's for triggered email as well. Talk us through a little bit about that decision. Why did you feel like you were ready to start evaluating others and Attentive for triggered email? What was that process like?
So when I first landed in L'Occitane, I was surprised how lack of real-time triggers in our trigger journeys for emails. And that kind of created these two different series from welcome to abandon to win back. There's one string of an email doing all the triggers, doing their own thing. There's another trigger series from SMS. It's almost like, have we not bombarded this customer not enough? But then the tone of voice is also very different. So customer will be like, okay, so I got a text message reminding me I have a welcome offer. Okay, then I will go shop. But then later on, I have another abandonment in my email. They completely use different tone of voice because we're not that promotional. So then they're completely just speak different languages. And so the idea of how can we replicate the success that we see in trigger series, especially from SMS to email. That's how we decide to give it a try. And I think one thing kind of is definitely top of my mind is the unified data access. Now I can see what that journey really looks like. somebody can be checking all her emails, but then she will convert on SMS. That is fine, but that journey was not visible to us until we converted to Attentive emails.
Yeah. Yes, very good points. And I know when we were practicing for this, like a couple of weeks ago, you had mentioned how brutal it can be to migrate email platforms. I see smiles in the audience. Like, I think we all know that and recognize that. What was the experience like for you with Attentive on that front?
Funny you said that because I've always been retention email, not SMS, because SMS didn't exist like until 2018. I'm always a retention marketer, so I have been to different ESP migration projects. I do this because we all know it's painful. The data, it's all the CIDs, the loss of, all these, we know it's hard. So I was given it like 2 months for the whole migration to complete, but it took I would say 2 weeks. And I think the API definitely helped. And then we also create a couple of webhooks to make sure all the data, they're constantly communicating, because we still have our own ESP, which is Adobe. And Adobe, I don't know how many of you use Adobe. It's a hard engine that refuses to talk to people unless you talk its own language. So I think the transition was easy. It wasn't overnight. It was like 2 weeks. However, we didn't lose anything. We got up the subscribe, unsubscribe, the circle between Attentive to Adobe in real time, that also feed into our CDP, which is Snowflake.
Thank you. Great information and encouraging for anyone who's looking to make that migration or move as well.
And I'll also add though, once you join Attentive for email, you gain. No air quote needed. You do gain a new CSM. So it's like you have one CSM dedicated to SMS, another CSM dedicated to email. And I think it's great because they're both very familiar with the platform, but with their own expertise. So it's like they know your goals and they know what makes it tick for you. So I think that's another benefit that I really enjoy.
Yes, wonderful. So taking a step back a little bit and thinking more channel agnostic and more just kind of the broader program as a whole in the customer experience for L'Occitane subscribers and consumers in general, brands are certainly challenged to keep things fresh. We know that, some of these channels are getting busier. They're a little bit more competitive to really stand out in a ton of messages or offers. It seems like L'Occitane does a very, very good job at that. Walk us through a bit, how do you keep some of that fresh, both from a promotion perspective, but also thinking about segmentation and using data, which I know you love and you lean on a lot, to make sure that you are staying relevant and competitive?
So since we're a global brand, we do have our central team in Geneva, Switzerland, and then we do follow a very strict guideline, so you'll never see us doing flash sales, even during COVID. You will never see us doing like 20% please come back offer. We don't do cash offer. We only do 3 big events per year, and that is it. So that kind of gives us very limited room for any retailers in terms of promotional strategy. That said, as Brittany mentioned, I am obsessed with data. So I think how we keep things fresh is really from a data-first mentality. We look into, for example, this year, we're looking at data last year. We always do GWP. We have public GWP and private GWP. So whenever you go into our store, you will see there's always like a mini with a pouch. That's our GWP, and that's proven to be successful for a store. However, that just doesn't seem that's driving anywhere. So we look into data and say, when we remove conversion, when we remove ATV from the equation just for a little bit, when we look at engagement, how many touches do one person need? Will this person convert? When we start thinking in that way, looking at the time, the frequency, and then we start to bucket different customers, we start to rethink our promo strategy. So now, starting April 1st, our fiscal year, we actually reduce public GWP because we want you to subscribe to us. We want everybody to feel special. We take away I would say we take away the generic, GWP bam in your face. Instead, we want it to be a one-on-one to nurture that experience with the brand. So that's something is really brand new to us. And I think also gives retail team a little more room to play with when they, clienteling and say, hey, become a VIP. I have more options for you, rather than in the past, customer will be confused and say, okay, I can get this, I can get that. So all they see the difference is a hurdle, which is not very long lasting than communicational. And so that's one. Another thing that we start doing is that I think we're all trying to become a true omni-channel brand. But I'll be very honest, I think we are a multi-channel because we're not omni. Each channel are not talking with each other. So I think, again, with the data mindset, having email, SMS really join force along with other channels, that create a true omni-channel strategy is how make it fresh, because you're getting all the feedback and insight from your customers. That is something you can't get from running a business report, for example.
I appreciate that, and it certainly speaks to that channel agnostic mentality of like, it's not about what channel is effective, what we're doing, it is about what is the customer experience, what's working, meeting essentially subscribers, consumers where they want to be met and how they want to be talked to.
Because at the end of the day, she's not gonna care, customers, she's not gonna care like, oh, I got an SMS from you. All she sees is there's a communication from us, and how do we make it make sense and authentic I think that's what keeps it fresh and challenging.
So we have a couple of minutes left. Touching on one of our final questions, thinking about trends, the industry we're all in is moving quickly. Daily, it feels like AI is a piece of that, of course. What trends in email and SMS marketing do you foresee, and specifically touching on potentially the power that something like Attentive AI or AI in general may unlock for L'Occitane?
Yeah, so I think personalization will continue to be the spotlight of everything. That's retention marketing, that's your acquisition. Trying to group customers the way you think they could be, and then sending the right message at the right time. But I also think that we started to do a little bit of AI in our Attentive emails. We use the copy, a little bit with the flow, and I think the trend will be, how can we apply AI technology in your automation workflow, in your predictive modeling, in your brand affinity for cross-sell, upsell. That's where I see it's coming. But I would say we're pretty conservative. I've gone as far as ChatGPT, but that's it for now.
Fair. Honest response, I like it, and definitely appreciate it. I think a lot of brands can relate to kind of both ends of the spectrum on that. So as we do wrap up, I'd love to get your take on how it's been working with Attentive in general. I know we touched on this a bit with regard to the team structure. So you have a dedicated client strategy manager or CSM, a dedicated email team member as well. Like, what's your overall kind of elevator pitch on how that's been?
So I do have a team of 4 people, but then however, we do oversee all US and Canada, all channels. So I think there are times that we are looking for the partnership that's a little bit more collaborative, that I can lean on knowing they know what I need. And then we speak the same language, the expectation is level set. So I've worked with various vendors where it just doesn't match. So I think it's been great, very collaborative, very keep your brands at heart. So I think it's wonderful.
Oh, awesome. Final question for me, and then I have a bit of an Oprah Willy Wonka moment, so don't leave. A big title, I know, so many faces popped up. But I think to wrap up with kind of our immediate session right now, a lot of people in the audience, I'm sure, marketers are responsible for either streamlining or enhancing, optimizing a current SMS marketing program, or maybe you're a brand who's thinking about potentially embarking on that journey as a channel. What words of advice, do's or don'ts, might you have for the audience?
I'll be really quick because I'm sure you all know already. I say don't treat SMS as an email, because it's not. Because it's such a more intimate, it's in her palm, in their palm. So we've done it too, like, thinking SMS just additional mini newsletter. It's not. And I think do embrace data. Let your customer tell you what it is before you dig into segmentation.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Great way to wrap up. 2 slides, Oprah moment right here. So if you are interested in trying Attentive email, I'll hold back. Unlike the you get an email, you get where I'm going. But there's a QR code up on the screen. We do have a special offer to get 3 months completely free of Attentive email for anyone who schedules a demo here at eTail West. So scan the QR code or feel free to stop by our booth when you exit the main room here and get some more information. Shifting gears to like Willy Wonka dream roll here, minus the candy and the sweets. We do have a golden ticket that you may have noticed on your chairs, depending on when you sat down. If not, you may be able to look around and find one. There is essentially a golden ticket on the chairs. Grab that, stop by booth W16, and definitely claim a free gift from L'Occitane. If you know the brand, amazing products, you won't be let down, and a bit of a nice treat. Thank you all for your time. We appreciate it, and have a great afternoon. Thank you, Emily.